Hi, we're sisters, Amy and Nancy Harrington, the founders of the Passionistas project. We've created an inclusive sisterhood where passion-driven women come to get support, find their purpose, and feel empowered to transform their lives and change the world. On every episode, we discuss the unique ways in which each woman is following her passions, talk about how she defines success, and explore her path to breaking down the barriers that women too often face. Today, we're talking with Tamie Wilson, the 2024 Democratic candidate seeking election to the U.S. House of Representatives for Ohio's 4th Congressional District to unseat Jim Jordan. An accomplished professional, devoted single mother, and proud granddaughter of a World War II veteran, Tammie's journey is shaped by her strong family values and her commitment to community service. Born and raised in Ohio, the heartland of America, Tamie has lived through the daily challenges facing her fellow Ohioans, having either experienced them personally or through close connections. Tammie's background brings a unique perspective to the political arena. She offers a fresh and unifying female voice, advocating for common sense solutions to core issues often overlooked in Washington. If you're joining us live here today, please feel free to drop any comments or questions in our chat, and we'll do our best to get them answered. Now, please welcome Tamie Wilson. We're so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, guys.
Tamie, what are you most passionate about?
And I see him as the most dangerous man in Congress or person. And I'm really worried about the future of our country if he were to get reelected, and God forbid if Trump was to get elected. So I'm most passionate about that. I literally work on my campaign 24/7. If I'm not awake, I'm still dreaming about it. So, yeah, it's a full-time job, so I'm real excited about it. The reason why I wanna unseat him is because I want to actually help people. I care about people, all people. You know, I am a biracial woman, and so I've experienced all kinds of discrimination from being a woman, being a mother, a single mother, married, unmarried, being short, everything. And so I really want to give voice to all the people that feel forgotten, unheard, ignored by their government, and really bring real representation.
That's amazing. So why do you think he's the most dangerous man in America?
He has no integrity. Some people may be aware when he was the assistant wrestling coach at OSU, um, there was a doctor there that served the teams, the athletic teams. He was the athletic doctor at OSU, and he allegedly raped or sexually abused close to 2,000 students. And I'm very close. Jim Jordan, he was a assistant wrestling coach there. So he recruited some of the wrestlers, and some of those guys have come forward. 143 of them have come forward and said that they were victims of sexual abuse by Dr. Strauss. And some of them have shared that they actually went to Jordan when it was happening and, asked for him to intervene and help them. And he didn't do anything from what they have said. So, um, I believe them. And, where Jordan turned his back on those students, I wrote the bill that will stop future students from being sexually abused at any educational institution.
Yeah.
So I'm working now with lawmakers to get that introduced and hopefully passed. This is bipartisan legislation. Everyone wants their child protected. A lot of schools have not changed their policies, so their kids are still vulnerable and susceptible to these sexual predators. I think it's extremely important. 1 in 4 boys are sexually abused in athletics, and they don't come forward till they're like 50, 52 years old. These are real statistics, and it's really important that we do something to protect these students. It's really heartbreaking. Now, the interesting thing is, when we went to DC, I took a couple of the wrestlers with me. One of them, he's the attorney for a lot of the wrestlers, Rocky Ratcliffe, actually. And we had shared with the lawmakers, they talked about Title IX. And so, but Title IX doesn't address the statute of limitations. So every state has their own statute of limitations when it comes to sexual abuse. And there shouldn't be statute of limitations when it comes to sexual abuse, especially when you're, a young adult, child, whatever, anyone really, because who can say when you're ready to deal with it? No one can tell you when you're ready to deal with it. I mean, we've seen over the past few years, the whole Me Too movement, how they villainize the victim and victim shame. And, it ruined a lot of people's lives, and, their lives were threatened, and, they were harassed. So I think it's really important that there be no statute of limitations when it comes to sexual abuse. So I'm working on those things. Those are really important things to me.
That's excellent. So where does this passion for helping people come from? Tell us a little bit about your background and your childhood, where you grew up, your family.
That was just the way I was born. I've always been, one of those helper type of people. And my parents, they called me the child advocate. Always helping my friends with their problems. They're like, oh, who is it today? Because I would ask them, I would ask their advice for things, and then kind of use their input and then my own, and then go and tell my friends, well, I think you should do this here, whatever. And so early on, I thought I would want it to be a psychologist or psychiatrist. But then when I was exposed to holistic life coaching, that felt more real to me. It encompasses the whole person, the mind, body, and spirit, which I think is really important. And it's a missing element out of, psychology. I got my training for that. Now, I went to college actually later in life. So I was like the 40-year-old freshman. So I wanted the whole college experience. So I was rushing to be a sorority girl, and they were like, oh my God, this woman is just too old. But, I like living life to the fullest. But I didn't make it. I didn't make the cut. So I had to try. I mean, my motto is you don't know unless you try.
Yeah, it's their loss. Their loss.
Yeah.
So that's what got me in this race, because I was watching the news. I mean, we all scream at the news, right? And
Every
I
day,
remember,
every night.
I know. And so, and I was watching the news. The announcement was made that Rob Portman was not going to run for Senate in Ohio. And I said, I should run. And I'm telling you, it's like as soon as I released the words, it's like my whole life flashed before my eyes. And it's like, I would make a really good give voice to a lot of people. I have experience with the military. I was married to a Marine for close to 10 years, and my grandfather was, he's a World War II veteran, and I'm biracial, single mom, entrepreneur. I check a lot of boxes. And so I thought, I wonder what you have to do. And so that just started the process. And so I actually started to run for Senate until Tim Ryan made the announcement that he was going to run. I said, oh, well, forget it. They'll never. And so that's when I decided to run for the House. And at that time, I was in District 12. Well, then in November of 2021, they redrew the district and they cut me into Jordan's district. And I thought, well, all right, let's do it. And so I've just been balls to the walls ever since.
That's amazing. So okay, so you have that moment where you go, I'm going to run. How did you figure out what the steps were? And have you had a mentor kind of guiding you through this?
I will say I've had a ton of mentors. So I like doing research. So I got online, I found out what the actual process was to file and everything like that. And but I went through so much online training. I did all the training I could get my hands on. Like NDTC has really good online training, and they're videotaped, so you can catch some of the sessions live or you can watch them on tape. And so there's several organizations that have training like that online. So I did that, and I got plugged into the party here in Ohio, and I went through their training as well. And so, but I think that thing that really helped me is that I have been an entrepreneur. So I know, and I went to school for marketing. It's all marketing. It's all about messaging and marketing and connecting with people. And I just love it. It's everything I love. It's talking to people, solving problems, marketing, and reading everywhere. So maybe they don't tell you you're going to gain weight. And so now I'm getting kind of used to it. So getting my body back. But so I wrote a book about running to help women. I really want to inspire more women to get into politics because women make over 50% of the population. Now in 2023, we were 24% in the Senate, 26% in the House, and 30% at state and local government. Those numbers have changed a little bit, but not that much. And we need more women in government. I mean, we have these men making healthcare decisions that they do not know anything about. You know, Here in Ohio, well, I actually today they're voting in Congress in the Senate about contraception. Well, I had to take birth control just to help regulate my hormones and other, health purposes. It wasn't even for birth control. And they have no right. They have no right. They don't understand the woman's body or medicine. They have no business making medical decisions for women. So we need more women that are going to advocate for the freedom of more women. I've seen recently several videos of men. I don't know if you guys saw the one of the lieutenant governor nominee for North Carolina. He's a GOP pick for the governor, and he was saying women shouldn't have the right to vote. I mean, I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
It just blows me away. So we need
It's a
more women
slippery slope.
stepping up. It
It's a
is. It really
slippery
is. But women, and you guys will understand this because I know you interview a lot of business women. There's the imposter syndrome. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I know enough or, whatever. And a lot of women, we're financially challenged. It's not like a lot of women are just, you know, extremely financially affluent, and finance is a big portion of politics of running for office. And then the other aspect is we are still the primary caregiver of the home. And so women are challenged with that. And so I'm not surprised that the GOP is pushing for women to stay home with the kids and stay barefoot and pregnant, because when we get in there, we actually do stuff. We get things done. And so, more women need to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about that. Tell us about what you propose to do when you get in office. You have a 5-point plan, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, geez. I've got my 5-point plan. I'm writing 9 bills. I have all kinds of ideas of things that I want to do. I just want to serve the people. And so my big interest, like with education, we need to have a more comprehensive approach to education. I believe that we should teach the basic life skills that everyone needs to survive. I mean, basic life skills. These are things that you're lucky if your parent teaches you things, but most times they kind of don't. I'm talking about mental fitness. We have physical fitness. We should have mental fitness and emotional fitness with the rise of social media, bullying, and all of the kids that are just so traumatized by social media. That is a huge issue with the school shootings. That's another one. I think we need to teach kids how to think positively and how to manage their emotions and how to dig themselves out of the hole. Anyone who's lived at all, that you're going to get challenged with something and you're going to go in the hole about something, and you have to be able to have the skills to pull yourself out. Not all parents have those skills, let alone able to teach their children those things. I think it's really important that we teach financial literacy in school, time management, and communication. Communication is the foundation of everything. So teaching kids, especially in this cyber world where a lot of the kids, they're just so used to texting or emailing, or they do not know how to have a conversation with people. Or I don't know how familiar you guys are with this generation, but they ghost your employer. It is so bizarre. Never seen that before until like a few years ago. A friend of mine, she owns a store at one of the malls here, and she employs like 20 something year old young women, and they'll just not show up to work. They don't call, they don't answer their phone, and it's like, do you understand if you do not open the store, she could get fined like $10,000? It's so interesting. But I think a lot of them are not, they're not confrontational. They don't like any kind of like a negativity or any kind of like criticism or any kind of negative response. They don't know how to deal with it, I think. I think that is the biggest issue. I don't know. It's very interesting. So education is a big thing. I really want to bring jobs to the district and, bring money to the district. You know, government, they come up with a financial plan. They have budgets. They earmark finances for different areas. Jordan doesn't believe in earmarks. So he doesn't bring any money home to the district. He has not helped bring jobs to the district. Actually, he votes against jobs everywhere in Ohio, not alone everywhere else. But the CHIPS Act got passed, so that plant is being built, but it's being built like an hour, 2 hours away from my constituents. Can't drive that far to go to work. He of all people should have been fighting to get that plant built in our district. There's so much land and there's so much opportunity. And a lot of our people would love to make, 100,000 a year. And he didn't do that. He did not fight for them. So, obviously that's an issue. There's a lot of food deserts in the district and healthcare deserts in the district. He doesn't do anything to serve the people in this area. I'm sure you guys are aware of all the news. All he cares about is defending Trump. And that's it. That's all he does. He votes against everything all the time. He votes against the people 97% of the time. He votes against veterans. He votes against unions. I mean, every time he votes against the war in Ukraine, he's voting against the tank plant in Lima. It's right here in our district. So he's voting against jobs in our district. I mean, it's just outrageous. So I really want to bring representation. I want to help people live a better life. A lot of people are struggling. He doesn't do anything about that. He votes against the farm bill. And but it's my job to just inform people of what he hasn't done, what he could have been doing, and that way I can hopefully win and serve them better.
So we've talked about this offline. Everybody sees Ohio as a red state. And as you're going around your district and you're pointing out these things that Jordan hasn't done for his constituents, how are people reacting? And are there enough Democrats in your district for you to be a viable candidate?
In my district, so when the redistricting happened, 53% of the district is new to Jordan. So a lot of people don't even know who he is. And I am just floored by that. So that was interesting. But a lot of people hate him. And I mean, Democrats, independents, Republicans, a lot of them know him because they are in a union and they know he votes against the union. So I have that in my favor. A lot of them are veterans. We have like 800,000 veterans in Ohio. That's a lot of veterans. And so, I have a lot of them in my district and he votes against, veterans. So some of them are aware of him being a do nothing representative. Some people are aware of the OSU scandal. Some people are aware of him in office from being in the Ohio State House. He didn't do anything there either. They could not stand him. So, he didn't win the speakership. And when he was running, those families were threatened. I didn't hear that happening with any other candidate running for speaker. But a lot of people do not like him. They're embarrassed by him screaming and making an ass out of himself on TV all the time. So that's another thing. Another thing people don't like, that he just is Trump's biggest ally or supporter. He doesn't do anything for the people. All he talks about is Trump. So I have a path to victory. I've spent the last 3 years building name recognition, building alliances and relationships with independents, Republicans, and of course, Democrats, and just people all throughout the district. So I go everywhere. I can relate to everyone, everyone. And so when people meet me, then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get her, I can see how, she would be good for me or honest or, represent us well. So yeah, I really feel strongly that I can beat him, that I'm going to beat him. I have a really good strategy, I have a really good team. So I'm super excited. I've made the inroads all throughout the district, and a lot of people want to take him out.
So you've mentioned, I think you said 9 bills that you're writing.
Mhm.
So talk about what those other bills are. You mentioned one of them already. And how does that process work when you're not actually in the government yet? So who do you approach and how do you make that happen?
So what I've been doing is building my relationships and alliances in DC. So I have been meeting with different lawmakers, building those relationships with House representatives and senators. From there, we've been making appointments and talking to them about the bill that I'm trying to get introduced this year. Um, so anyone could write a bill and take it to the representative or a representative, whoever is in that committee. So it goes by committee. So the committee has to bring it to the floor. And then, but they need to get the support to bring it to the floor. So that's kind of the process about, how that happens. And then my goal is to introduce the most bills on my first day. That is what I want to do. 'Cause he hasn't introduced anything in 17 years, he introduced his first bill, like, last year, and I take full credit for that because my team and I were constantly hammering him for being a do-nothing representative, and so he wrote his first bill, and, I'm like, "Whatever," it's just way too little too late, and so, I'm just so excited about that. So, I'm writing a bill for, seniors. I want to help protect seniors. People are living longer, but just because they're living longer doesn't mean they have, all of their faculties in the sense of being able to protect themselves from financial predators online or on the phone. So I want to help protect seniors from things like that. I think that's really important. I had one lady, she was in a car accident and she rented a car. And so she submitted the claim to her insurance. So they were paying for her car rental. And then the car rental technician, they gave her like extra insurance. So he like wiped out her checking account of like $500 and she's like, "Oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to buy my food or pay for my license, that I have to buy, pay for next month." And I was just like, "Oh my God." So I've been trying to help her with that. I had another gentleman who was 82 or 83. He was at a car dealership and he called his wife and he said, "Yeah, I want to buy a car." And she said, "No, no, no, don't do that. We can't afford to buy a car." Well, we all know how car salespeople can be, right? And so he ended up driving it home. And so then they brought it back the next day and they charged him $5,000 for that car. And so it's just heart-wrenching. So I think there needs to be guardrails in place. And I know that you guys have heard the online scams through email, or a lot of them are doing the whole phone and texting of, "Oh, it's your grandson and I need help. Help me," and people are sending these people money. It's just heart-wrenching. So I'm really concerned about, protecting our seniors. Obviously protecting Social Security and Medicare, I would definitely vote to protect those. If we just lift the cap off of Social Security, then it would be solvent and there's nothing for them to, complain about. But of course, we know they use that for political purposes. So, but that is a really big issue is protecting, that's the All-American retirement plan. That's our money. They have no right to take our money. And to privatize it is extremely concerning because we've seen these corporations that just go under and then they give their executives $1 million bonuses for the year rather than honoring the people that they're supposed to be serving. So we need to have protections in place for that. I want to cut the overtime tax. So when someone is working overtime, they get taxed so much, it's like not even worth working the overtime. So I think that we should take that away. I'm also working on a bill for domestic violence survivors. So with domestic violence, well, in Ohio, we don't even have a restriction for firearms or anything. They just changed that law, and Jordan, he voted against the Violence Against Women's Act. Votes against violence against women. I'm like, God, this guy just hates women. I mean, what else to say other than that? It's so bizarre. Why wouldn't you want to protect women? I don't know. Anyway, so with domestic violence, a lot of times it starts verbally and then it escalates. We all know that. And so words of violence lead to violence. And so a lot of times they will threaten the life of their victim, their mate or whatever. And so I think it's really important that for people that have a restraining order against people, that they should have to wear a tracking device if they come within proximity of the person that they abuse. That way that person is notified. So my aunt was murdered from domestic violence. She was shot with a 12 gauge shotgun point blank 4 times, and it was so bizarre. She knew he was gonna kill her. She told me he was gonna kill her. It was just so sad. But had he had the tracker and there was the alert system, she would have known that that was him that was trailing behind her because he had rented a car. That's why she didn't know that it was him behind her. And so when she pulled into the parking lot of her work and parked the car, he pulled up behind her and jumped out of the car and cocked the gun and shot and killed her, and then went home and killed himself. And so, but had the tracking device been in place, then she could have known that that was him and driven straight to the police department or whatever. And then hopefully they would have done something. But a lot of times they don't. So that's the other part. I really want to help abusers. There's reasons why people are abusers, whether it's something that they grow up with, something that they witness, but we obviously know there's something out of balance there. But there are programs that help abusers stop abusing. There is a organization, it's called the Duluth model, and so they have a program that they put abusers through. It's like a 6 or 8 week program, but it retrains their brain of how not to abuse. They have to learn a whole new lifestyle that doesn't include abusing. Doesn't that blow your mind to even like conceptualize that? It's just really sad, but that's something that's needed. That's how we can break the cycle of abuse. Another bill that I want to work on is the domestic terrorism. So I actually consulted with a top domestic terrorist expert in the country. And so I had the idea that since they have these programs for abusers, there had to be like a de-radicalization program for domestic terrorists. And so I consulted with this gentleman, and sure enough, there is. And I said, well, where are they? Because I was thinking like, what state are they in? And oh, Turkey and Pakistan. I was like, oh, okay. But okay, well, yeah, that makes sense, And so, but he reminded me that the guys that did 9/11, they will be getting out of jail soon, and nothing has been done to de-radicalize them. So, I mean, just kind of think about that. This is the part that drives me nuts. I feel like we wait too long to act too many times, and I think it's important that we see it coming. We see Trump could be a nominee. Why didn't they write the bill if you are a felon or if you have been convicted or if you've been, whatever? Why didn't they write that bill so he wouldn't even qualify to be on the ballot? I mean, it's not rocket science. Why is it that you can work at, you cannot work at Chase Bank or McDonald's or something as a felon, but you can be the president of the United States? I mean, that just blows me away. So with domestic terrorism, I think it's important, just like people who receive multiple DUIs, they have to go through that, alcohol program or whatever. We should have something like that in place. So we already had the attack on the Capitol. And this is the other bill that I want to do is cybersecurity. We have these other countries that are infiltrating our social media, internet airways that are, programming, radicalizing these people, and they're turning us against each other. And it's so detrimental to our country. I think it's really important that we get a handle on those things.
That's incredible. It's amazing for someone who wasn't involved in politics such a short time ago, how thoroughly you've thrown yourself into this and how focused you are on really important, really specific issues. I really admire that about you. So my question is, will there be a debate between you and Jim Jordan? Have you
He won't
challenged
debate
him to
me.
one?
Debate me. First of all, I think he's too scared to debate me because I would have all the wrestlers there. But no, I don't think he will. He wouldn't last time. He kept evading the people that wanted to organize it. It was so funny because the organizer, he said, "I've been trying to get a hold of Tamie and she won't call me back." And I called him. I was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were trying to get a hold of me." And so I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." Well, and so then he called me. I go, "Well, Jordan's office said that he won't be able to do it." And I thought, sure. And you were complaining about me? Okay.
He's too busy writing bills.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm doing that. I'm like, "I'll do your job since you won't do it." But I like
So,
solving problems, but you don't really I think one reason why people are so frustrated with government, I'm a core issue person. That goes back to my life coaching, when you're coaching someone, you have to get to the root cause of the problem. Otherwise, you're not doing anything. So immigration, that's the other bill. So I just went to Mexico to visit the border. I wanted to get a firsthand knowledge of what the experience is, what is going on down there, what do we really need to do to fix the immigration issue. And I'm so glad that I went. I went with this organization. They're called Vote Common Good, and it is a group of pastors. They created this organization to fight Christian nationalism. Now, through my domestic terrorism research, I went through this training with the FBI about domestic terrorists in the country. So they've identified 9 domestic terrorists, and Christian nationalism is one of them, Christian nationalists. And so when I went to the border, I went with that organization, and so we stayed in the shelter where migrants stay on the US side and on the Mexico side. We went to the border, we looked at the wall, and you see all this razor wire. It's not barbed wire, it's razor wire. They have little razors all over the wire. It was just terrible. So on our side, you see this wall with this razor wire. It's like it comes out, really far. And so then there's like this road, and then there's another barrier of more razor wire and another little wall. And it's like it's just so bizarre. And so on the Mexico side, it's all artwork. They have murals painted on their side of the wall. It's just so amazing. So anyway, I went there. I wanted to get firsthand knowledge what was going on with the border. And so it was really interesting because no, we can't just let everyone in the country. We know that, right? But then there has to be a humanity part to it. So I met these families that are in this shelter waiting to seek asylum. They're doing it the right way. Um, they're waiting to get their paperwork processed, which is like a 10-month process for them to apply. And so these families, they just come to this shelter with just the clothes on their back because a lot of them are fleeing the cartel, and they just stay in this camp in the shelter for 9-10 months. And it's just terrible. There's one little room, that's one little classroom for all the kids of all ages. I mean, at least they have that, but it's like, oh my God, that's where they're getting their education. And um, they have one cafeteria room. So and there's people from all over Venezuela, Bolivia, New Colombia. I mean, all these different countries are staying in this shelter. And so they take turns cooking, which is pretty interesting because you're getting to experience different like cultures, food and everything. Um, but it's really heartbreaking. And so you hear their stories. I met one gentleman, he actually used to live in the United States. He was here working. I think he overstayed his visa. So he was a roofer here in Missouri, I believe he said, and he made $48 an hour, good living. And but then he got busted, got deported, and so he was sent back to Mexico, where it's like $1 an hour. So he started his own business. He has a taxi service. Well, the cartel, they made him pay them a monthly fee. Well, then they raised the fee. And so they wanted him to pay them like $9,000 a month. And I was like, oh my gosh, how much do you make? He's like 1,000 a day. I was like, wow. And anyway, so when it came down to it, when they raised it, they said, you have to pay by tomorrow or we will kill you and your family. Well, in the meantime, he's seen people being killed in the streets. It's like common there. This cartel just coming and killing people right in the middle of the street. And so that really scared him. So he fled. He took his family and they fled, and they just happened to find that shelter. There's another woman. She was from Bolivia. She's a doctor. She's an anesthesiologist, this lady, and she was high in the government, but she saw all the corruption. So then they threatened her and she and her family's life. And so they had to flee for their lives. And so these people, they have nowhere else to go. And so they are trying to get into the US so that their families can live. And so it was interesting to hear their stories. And it's like there's a humanity aspect to the whole immigration issue that doesn't ever get shared. It's really sad. And so yes, we can't let everyone in, but we also in this country decided after World War II that we wouldn't turn people away that are asylum seekers. So there's that aspect of it. So I think it's really important. But the main problem is we need to change our immigration laws because they are completely outdated and just outrageous for people that have been here that they are here illegally. They have to leave and they have to wait 10 years before they can come back. And it's like some people, like the birthers, children that are brought over, when they're young, they don't even have the relationships, or some may not even speak the language, their native language of their country. And they're just, sent back to just fend for yourself, even though their whole life has been here. So there's a lot of things that we can and should do to change our immigration laws. But nothing is going to happen with the border until they take the corruption out of it. And that means, help these countries deal with the cartels, because that is the biggest problem. So in Mexico, people will pay like $25,000 to cross the border illegally. Now, if they do it the right way, they have to go through the process, which takes like 10 months. So imagine you like fearing for your life and then having to wait 10 months. Where do you go? What do you do? Uh, so so what they do is they just come over and they will just sit there and wait to get picked up, and then they say, I am seeking asylum. So that's what they've been doing. But if we take the it's like since we tightened our restrictions, that made the corruption go up, so it kind of increased the problem. It's really an interesting dynamic.
It's heartbreaking to see the people who really need help getting turned
Yeah.
around.
They just villainize these people, and it's like, well, what would you do if your life was threatened or someone was saying they were going to kill you and your family? It's like, I don't know anyone that wouldn't do everything that they could do to protect their family.
Absolutely.
We
Right.
even walked the path. We walked the path through the desert to the border, and and I saw the hole under the wall. So I mean, the wall doesn't really do anything. It's a deterrent, but That's not going to stop people that are determined to, cross the border. It's just not.
Yeah, and I want to say, backing up to something you had said earlier, for anybody who doesn't know about Christian nationalists and the danger, I recommend the Rob Reiner documentary God and Country, which is really powerful and really helps you understand the threat to our democracy that they present.
So this gentleman here in Ohio, he ran for, I think, the state or federal office, but he created this documentary, and it's about the Proud Boys and all of these other groups that are targeting veterans. And so they are using the whole, that's the whole patriotism thing that you see. And so I can understand why this group would be appealing to these people, because it's all about the brotherhood, and you know what I mean? It's that camaraderie that they're probably craving that they had when they were in the military, and it gives them a purpose and everything. And so I can understand why it would be appealing, but I mean, it's so anti-American. It's really interesting, but you have to watch that. It is very alarming.
Yeah.
Very alarming. Against All Enemies. You can watch it on Apple.
Okay, we'll check that one out. I'll have to brace myself for that one. So earlier we had asked about what you think being a woman brings to your candidacy. No, that's okay. I'm so glad that you talked about what you talked about, because it would have been terrible to leave that out. But
That was my point, because it's the empathy. It is the humanity aspect of it. Men are just very logical. It seems like all they care about is power, where women, statistics show that women are more about building community and helping people and helping the community. So I really see us as being the true leaders in the community and the people that get things done. I mean, look at DARE or Moms Demand Action. These organizations are getting things done, and that is because of the moms. So, so I think that is a big aspect of it. Having that different perspective, like I was talking about earlier about the healthcare. Um, I'm not going to get into the whole sex thing of men not understanding women's bodies, but when it comes to medical, they really don't understand women's bodies. So I think it's important for women to advocate for other women. Some people need IVF to get pregnant. I mean, it is what it is. Thank God we have the medicine to do it, and some people need to take contraceptives in order to, like I said earlier, balance their hormones to help keep from getting cancer. I mean, there's so many different things that they don't even understand, that we don't even understand, because we're not doctors either, but we should have the right to make our own choices. And I mean, until the GOP gets sane again, I think it is just so important for everyone to vote Democrat, because they've really lost their minds.
Yeah, that's for sure. So speaking of that, how can people support your campaign?
So you can volunteer, and if you're in Ohio or if you want to volunteer remotely, there's tons of things that you can do for that. Postcards, phone banking, fundraising, organize fundraisers. I need the money, need the money, need the money. Jordan will outrace me. We all know that, but I will outwork him, and I'm fine with that. And when I ran the first time, I ran against a guy. It was his second time running. He raised $1 million. He had a team of 60 volunteers. He had a full-time staff and a team of experts. And I beat him by myself with $2,500. And I was really happy about that. But it was because I have the business sense and marketing sense. And, so that worked in my favor. But yeah, so volunteering, fundraising, making a donation. If you'd like to make a donation, you can make it at Act Blue or my website at Tamie, Tamie, TamieWilson.com. Follow me on social media. I'm on all the social media platforms. Most of them are at Tamie US Congress. That's my my handle. Only one, it's like TikTok is like Tammy for Ohio or something, but that's the only one that isn't the Tammy US Congress. But yeah, follow me on social media, like it, share it, post, comment, because that helps the algorithms. It's a huge part of social media nowadays, is getting all of the energy behind it. But those are big things.
Bump Tammy's posts up to your stories so that
Yeah. Write
share
letters to the editor,
everything, all the things.
everything, all the things, all the things.
So,
Yeah.
is there one lesson that you've learned on your journey so far that really sticks with you?
I will tell you, the thing that shocked me was how women don't back other women. I'm just completely floored by that. Um, and this is what I mean. I have heard over and over, Tammy, your nails are too long, your heels are too high, your lips are too bright, your eyebrows are too dark. And I mean, all of these stupid comments about my looks. I had one woman sent me a letter and it said, "Oh, I got your email and it was really great. And I just love everything that you said and everything you're doing." And then I looked at your picture and I thought, "Playboy Bunny, I'm not going to donate to your campaign. I'm a wealthy woman." And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is why we don't have more women in office. It's just like, what do you mean? And I mean, it just blew me away. But I don't know. It's so bizarre. But I want to honor everything about being a woman. I think we need that feminine element in our government. We need more empathy. We need more people that believe in being kind and loving. And, we need that right now more than ever. More than ever, we need that in our country and our government. So I was really shocked by that. I get a lot of nasty criticism, but it's always from women. And then women working against me for whatever reason. I'm like, do you understand who I'm running against? I mean, just think about what you're doing. It's really bizarre. That was the thing that just floored me. But the other thing is that how unorganized the Democratic Party is. And so someone shared this saying with me. They said, "Oh yeah, I don't belong to an organized party. I'm a Democrat." And I thought, "Oh my God, that is so true." But, I really hope to change that. That's why I'm involved. I can see so many ways that we can just make so many huge transformational changes within the party to make a big impact and results that we get. And there's not big things either, just minor little tweaks that we can make that would just make such a transformational change. And I'm like, "Why aren't we doing this?" So but I'm not at the place, at the level for people to listen to me yet. So I'm working my way up there.
Yet. The key word is yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
have one last two-part question. What's your dream for yourself and what's your dream for women?
My dream for women is for women to live out their dream. I want people and women to just really get the most out of their life and really go for what it is that they really truly want. Not what you think you have to do or what you can do, but really what you want to do. If everyone did what they wanted to do, what their passion is, passionistas, um, then our whole world would just be such a better place because everyone is in their space of love, of what they're loving, what they're doing, what they're passionate about. You know, people that are in that job that they can't stand, when they're in that marriage that they can't stand, you're you're conflicted with life and you're feeling that friction and you're not living a full, wonderful, happy life. And so that is my dream for women, to get more women in politics. I absolutely I get it when Ruth Bader Ginsburg said we'll have enough women in the Supreme Court when there are 9. Absolutely.
Mhm.
That would be great. So I want to inspire women to get more involved in politics sooner. And I'm guilty of it myself. I just kind of blew it off when I was younger and I wasn't really that involved. And um it was more like, oh, they've got it taken care of. And then Trump was elected, and I was like, what is going on? My God, we have to get involved. We have to get this under control. And so that's when I got into politics. But I want to inspire women to get in earlier. So I guess the good thing we can say about them overturning Roe v. Wade is that we are, getting the younger women involved sooner. So I guess that can be the um, um, the silver lining for that. So I'm happy about that. For myself, wow, I don't know. I can see myself in the White House someday. To what capacity, I don't know yet, but something. Yeah.
Excellent.
We
Well,
can't wait
we
to see
cannot
her.
thank you enough for being here with us today. This has been a pleasure. We are
Oh, thank
behind you
you.
100%, and we're always here for anything you need. And we encourage our community members in Ohio to go and vote for Tamie in the fall. And thank you for being here, and thank you all for listening.
Yes, thank you so much. This has been great. I just love you guys. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Passionistas Project. Since we're not only business partners but best friends and real-life sisters, we know how unique and truly special our situation is. We know so many solopreneurs, activists, women seeking their purpose, and more, who are out there doing it all on their own. They often tell us that they wish they had what we have, so we're creating a space for them and you to join our sisterhood, where trust, acceptance, and support are the cornerstones of our community. By joining, you become part of our family. We'll give you all of our sis tips on building meaningful relationships through the power of sisterhood, and all the tools you need to thrive in 3 key areas: business growth, personal development, and social impact. You'll learn from our panel of Power Passionistas, who are experts on topics like transformational leadership, following your intuition, the power of voting, and so much more. You can join us virtually and in person at storyteller events and meetups to connect with other members of the community. And you'll be able to participate in our online forums with other like-minded women and gender non-conforming, non-binary people who share your values and goals. Be sure to visit thepassionistasproject.com to sign up for your free membership to join our worldwide sisterhood of passion-driven women who come to get support, find their purpose, and feel empowered to transform their lives and change the world. We'll be back next week with another Passionista who's defining success on her own terms and breaking down the barriers for herself and women everywhere. Until then, stay passionate.